how we know this, because it's the Rebbe's chapter of Tehillim. We say it every day. It's the Rebbe's chapter. However old the Rebbe is.
Well, one less, right? You say the next year.
Right.
If you're 21, you say chapter 22, because you're in your 22nd year.
Okay.
Okay.
The Rebbe is 121.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Are we allowed to respond to Chaim Bracha?
That's the response, is l'chaim l'vracha. Okay. We're in Ois Tes. The Rebbe is teaching us about the two different levels of Kosis Lamar, which really we can say is Mesiras Nefesh in the time of the Gezeder, and then Kosis, the crushedness, not mitzad the matzav in Golus, not mitzad the situation in Golus, but mitzad the essential existence of Golus, the mitzias of Golus. Okay. We got up to the middle of that big column on page Kuf Lamed Hey. The Rebbe just said that even a tzaddik who has an incredibly powerful appreciation of Elokus and experiences Elokus in a very, very real way in their lives, even that tzaddik, so his connection to the Eibush is limited by virtue of the fact that it's only by him and it's not everywhere else. There's Shverat Mashiach in the cupboard. Okay. And the last thing we learned was that Choyl is Gematria Mem Tes. Right, so that level of Nun is a whole new level. And anything lacking, so then that means even if it's only lacking a very little, meaning the person's already on the 49th level of understanding, but the fact that there's another level, the fact that there's a level called Nun, and that level of Nun is the shleimus of understanding, so then their understanding is limited. So then it's a matter of how much that limitation is affecting them. So it's not affecting them very much at all, but it's still existentially a limited state. V'yadua after these square brackets. V'yadua mashakosov tzemach tzedek, very famous story of the Alter Rebbe Shaya Nishma mi'mareinu v'Rabbeinu Nishma Seidim. It was heard from our teacher, our Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe Admar Zoken. Your side is in 2 days. Ich will za gar nicht. I don't want anything. Will is want. Ich will, I want. Nit, not. I don't want. Dein Gan Eden. I don't want your Gan Eden. Ich will nit dein Elam Haba. I don't want your Elam Haba. What does the Alter Rebbe want? Ich will mehr nit as dich allein. I just want you. Minei want Atzmus. I don't want this level of revelation and this level of revelation, because those levels of revelation by definition are limited, because revelation is limited. So revelation is Or, and Or is limited. Or is infinite. It's limited. It's limited to being infinite reality, and there's a state of being beyond Or called Ma'or, right? Which is the Etzim, which is the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's also the source of our soul, the Etzim of our soul. Is Mushar, the Etzim and the Neshama, is Mushurash, is rooted in Etzim and the Neshama, in the Etzim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Alter Rebbe says, I don't want your Gan Eden, I don't want your Elam Haba. Now, you might say, well, I don't understand, why is that such a big deal? Because if someone says, I'll give you $10 million, I'll give you $100 million, or I'll give you $1 billion. So, okay, so I guess I'll take $1 billion. Why would I want a 10 million or 100 million if there's $1 billion? So why wouldn't everybody say exactly what it is that the Alter Rebbe said? Why is this such a big deal? I don't want your Gan Eden, I don't want your Elam Haba. Why, what's so, meaning, once I know there's a state beyond Gan Eden and there's a state beyond Elam Haba, so then why wouldn't I want it too? Why is this so special that the Alter Rebbe wants Dafka, Dich Alain, you alone? Right? What do you think? Remember, you're being recorded live on YouTube, and there's millions and millions of people. There are 75 million people in Bangladesh alone that watch this every day. We have become the hit in Bangladesh. I just want you to know that. The YouTube hit. It's like, restaurants make it, and then so this YouTube's for some reason it just took off like wildfire in Bangladesh. It's the thing to do in Bangladesh. at 9:30 in the morning, everybody gathers around their smartphone and watches Chassidus and Mayanot. It's such a strange thing, but it's all right. It says here 75 million people watching.
They commented also.
So, Gan Eden and Olam Haba are spiritual experiences, godly experiences that I would have. And it's very pleasant. It's beautiful. It's amazing. What do Chazal say? Yofer shacha shel keres ruach be'elam haba mikol chay elam haza. That same Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, this fourth parak in Pirkei Avos, which is quoted all the time. The other half of the Mishnah is quoted all the time. What's the other half? Yofer shacha shel tshuva ma'asim tevim be'elam haza mikol chay elam haba. The one moment of tshuva and ma'asim tevim in this world is greater than all the world to come. In other words, the connection to HaKadosh Baruch that we get through Torah and mitzvahs is more powerful than the connection that we would have in Elam Haba. Why? So the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, Elam Haba is Ziva Shechina. It's a radiance of the divine presence, whereas mitzvahs are the Eibishter himself. It's not revealed. Okay, that's true. It's not revealed. That's actually part of the reason that that's the level of elokus that we can actually connect to through Torah and mitzvahs. If it were to be revealed, so it would be mevatel us completely. Right, and that's really, so then what's the next statement in the Mishnah? So again, the first half of the Mishnah is one moment of tshuva and ma'asim tevim in this world is greater than all of the world to come. Okay. The world to come is very, very pleasant. How do we know? Because the next line of the Mishnah says, Yofer shacha shel keres ruach, the pleasure, one moment of pleasure in the world to come is greater. Yofer shacha shel keres ruach be'elam haba mikol chay elam hazeh. Then all of the pleasure that could possibly be experienced in this world, and we're not talking about a particular person, we're talking about all of the pleasure that could possibly be experienced in this world, in the history of the world. All of the intellectual, spiritual, physical, emotional pleasure that could possibly be experienced in this world, one moment of Elam Haba is great. Okay. So that's what's so amazing about the Alter Rebbe. Because if he chaps atzmus, what happens? There's no him. There's no him to experience the beauty of that experience. Not there. In a state of Elam Haba, Gan Eden, so then there's a person, there's something, a neshama, a person, whatever it is, experiencing the beauty of that revelation. Others say, I don't want that revelation. It's amazing, it's incredible, but it's limited. It's not the real thing. What's the real thing? Etzem. But if I were to truly experience a revelation of Etzem, then there would be no me to experience that. I would just be completely subsumed in Etzem. Okay. So that's what's so amazing about the Alter Rebbe statement. That's why it's quoted all the time. I'm not interested in my spiritual experience. I'm interested in Elokus, Neto. And what's Elokus? Elokus is Atzmos. So that's what the Alter Rebbe wants. What's that? That's the level beyond the 49th. And the Rebbe is going to explain, which is explained in many, many places. It's not a chiddush here at all. And by virtue of the fact that this was heard, this language, this statement was heard by the Alter Rebbe, and when the Tzemach Seder says Haya Nishma, the Rebbe explains, Perish Haya Nishma, it was heard, doesn't mean he heard it once. Doesn't say Shamati, I heard this once. Haya Nishma, this is something evidently that the Alter Rebbe would say special times, as we say, Shazeya Loy, I'm sorry, more common. Not only at special times, Ella Shazeya Davar Rogel, something very common. For the Alter Rebbe to get into a state of rapture and say this, that I don't want you Gan Eden, I want you Elam Haba, I want you. Ubefrat particularly, by virtue of the fact that this was made public by the Tzemach Tzedek, and we know about it. So look what the Rebbe says. It's an amazing thing. Why did the Tzemach Tzedek tell us this story? Why? So we should all chaparein that the Alter Rebbe is really special? It's not why we hear stories about the Rebbeim. Right? The Alter Rebbe is special. Okay, I think we know that. But rather, why is that story? Why specifically that story? So the Rebbe says, by virtue of the fact that this was publicized by the Tzemach Tzedek, it's given the power, the potential of every single Jew, that that his essential desire should be the revelation of Atzmos. Revelation of Atzmos means Mashiach. That's what happens by Immerse Mashiach, a revelation of Atzmos. That's a contradiction in terms, because Atzmos and revelation are two completely different states of being. Revelation relates to that stuff you and I call light, right? Often when we talk about light, we use the word giluyim, states of revelation, right? Because light is what's revealed. That's what light is. What aspect of the sun comes into revelation? It's light, right? The actual sun itself. So I don't know what that looks like. I know what the light that emanates from the sun looks like, sort of. I mean, it's hard to know what light looks like, but we experience that light. We experience the warmth of it. We experience the fact that it illuminates things. That's Or. Right? Ma'or, the luminary, is a level beyond that. So Gilui Atzmos is actually a contradiction in terms, because Atzmos is by definition beyond Gilui. It's beyond revelation. Meaning once it's revealed, it's not it. It's something else, so to speak. It's what comes out from it. And what do we call that? We call that Or. Right? Doesn't mean it's really light, right? I mean, we've said this many times, but it's so important to understand that when we use this, light is a mushal for godly energy. It's an incredible mushal, because light has all these interesting properties and one of the most important properties of light is that it demands a connection to its source, or it ceases to exist, right? The light shining on this book, okay, so now I want to take that light and I want to capture it. There, the light on this page. So I want to read this page at night under my blanket where there's no light. So I'll capture the light on the page, and I'll take it under my blanket. And when I open the book, of course, the light's going to be there, right? Because I caught it. No. Now, if it was a piece of paper, it would be in there, but not light. Why? Well, because as soon as light loses its connection to its source, it ceases to be. So it's an incredible mushal for the idea of godly energy that's energizing everything. But it's a mushal. It's a mushal used by Nevi'im. It's a mushal. It's not that we made up the mushal. It's a mushal used in the Torah itself. Okay, say that. But it's a mushal for godly energy. Okay, so what is it that emanates out from Etzem, from the luminary, from the Ma'or? That's called Or. So that's what the Alter Rebbe says. I don't want Or. I want Etzem. But Gilui Etzem is itself, it's a contradiction in terms. And it's a contradiction in terms, it always remains a contradiction in terms. And somehow, in the times of Mashiach, we're going to experience Etzem. So the Rebbe basically explains it in Parshas Toldos, Parshas Veata, Tafshin and Beis. The Rebbe talked about it in those two Shabbosim, that the idea of Gilui Atzmos, where is Atzmos not revealed, so to speak, outside of itself? But if you're, so to speak, and this is a big so to speak, if you're in Atzmos, that's where you are. So then what's your revealed reality? Atzmos? I mean, that's what there is. Okay, so what that looks like. So but that's Yemais Mashiach. That's what'll happen. So that's the Gilui Atzmos of Yemais Mashiach. Ad Kedei Kach. Right, so our real desire is Gilui Atzmos, is that the Eibusher himself should be revealed. Not simply his infinite light. Shekashe'ein meir gilui zeh, to such an extent that when this revelation is not happening, it's not shining, this revelation. I mean, kol shekein, all the more so b'zman golus, in the time of golus, she'ein meir afilu a gilui or shaya b'zman bayis. There's not even the level of revelation of light, that which was existed at the time of the Beis Hamikdash. Certainly not a Gilui Atzmos. We certainly haven't reached the end of the trail. But even Or, Olam Hazeh, ask someone if he experiences the godly Or in Olam Hazeh. Okay, someone who learns enough Chassidus will experience it to the extent that he appreciates the fact that everything he sees is a function of that. And he can explain that very clearly, just like some people can explain how a car engine works. So other people can explain how it is that godly light powers and vitalizes everything that we experience. Okay. I can't look at it and pick at it like a car engine. It's something a little less physical than that. But it's there, and the person reaches a state of consciousness where everything they experience is an expression of that reality and is understood within the context of that reality, and that'll be the mushal for everything they experience. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So a person is a little bit in the clouds. So what did Chassidim say about that person? Mamish in Atzilus. Don't say he's in the clouds. Right in the clouds. We've all been in the clouds. Everybody took a plane to get here. Right? What's the big deal being in the clouds? Being in Atzilus, woo, that's a whole different thing. Meaning he's like, a high flyer. It's in Atzilus. Okay. Because those will become the terms of reference that a person uses to describe reality. Okay, but I have to learn those terms of reference. Okay, that's what learning Chassidus is all about. That's why the Frierdiker Rebbe explains in Vasili Gani, Vasili Mikdash, V'shachanti B'seichem, Vasili Mikdash, do all that work necessary to come to an understanding of Elokus and bring Elokus into your conscious reality. V'shachanti B'seichem, and I will dwell in them. It doesn't say build me a Mikdash, build me a house and I'll dwell in it. It says they should build me a house and I'll dwell in them. Each and every one. Kol echad v'echad. What's kol echad v'echad? That each and every person develops a sensitivity to Elokus. And experiences Elokus. Okay, so but that level of Elokus that we experience here in Olam Hazeh, by virtue of being sensitive to the fact that that's what Olam Hazeh is all about, I don't see it. No one sees it. Now there might be some people that see it, but they're usually in hospitals. Hu b'matzav dekosis. By virtue of the fact that this revelation isn't there, he's crushed. Why? Because that's what he really wants. He wants the Eibush to be revealed. And therefore, what does he say? And he actually means it when he says it. Therefore, he requests 3 times every day. Or Yosef might be even more. On Rosh Chodesh it's more. On Shabbos it's more. That our eyes should behold your return to Tzion, meaning we should experience Gilu Elokus in Olam Hazeh. It's an amazing bracha. Sha'az yeh Gilu Elokus, and then there'll be a revelation of God. Va'ad the Gilu Yatzmus, to such an extent that ultimately be Gilu Yatzmus, the revelation of the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Talked about this before. The Rebbe once said in a Farbrengen with a smile, part of the conversation, the difference between Olam Hazeh and Yemei Mashiach. So in Olam Hazeh, just say the words in Hebrew first, because that Metzias existence, created existence, is Pshitus, is obvious, it's Pashut. And Elokus, godliness, is Bihischadshus, is a Chiddush, is something novel that I have to learn about and remind myself about and contemplate. And if I don't learn about it, so then I just become a person who's insensitive to it. Okay? Be'elam haba, Yemei Mashiach, what'll happen? So Elokus will be B'pshitus, godliness will be revealed, that'll be obvious. And Metzias, created reality, will be a Chiddush. That'll be novel. Oh, so what does that mean? Before they would say what the Rebbe said, there was a joke. That right now there are 2 different states of reality in the room as we're sitting here. There's physical reality, but there's also godly reality giving that physical reality existence. Okay, so I'm intellectually aware of the existence of that, but I don't experience it. Okay, but they're both here. So which one am I aware of? That's Bepshitus. Okay, I'm aware of created reality. Which one do I understand intellectually exists? Okay, that's the Elokus that's banging around this room. But I don't experience that like I experience the table. If I bump into the Elokus, I don't get a bruise. Okay. Be Yemei Mashiach, be the other way around. It's not like one's here more than the other, so to speak. They're both here. Just one I'm very conscious of, and the other I'm not particularly conscious of, or perhaps not conscious of at all. Right? So what if I were to switch that equation? I become conscious of the Elokus, and the physical reality would be here, but I'd have to remind myself of its existence. You and I have to get up in the morning and learn Chassidus in order to remind ourselves very powerfully of godly reality, so that the rest of our day, our davening and the rest of our day, will be imbued with that reality. And people who learn Chassidus seriously and consistently feel the difference in the day where they didn't learn it and the day where they did. Right? When it becomes part of your life, so lahavdil, elif pamim, people who exercise, right? So if they haven't exercised for a few days, they'll tell you, oh, I haven't exercised for a few days and I just feeling, so what about people who don't exercise? They feel the lack of exercise? No. Why not? Because that's part of their reality. So if they don't exercise, I really feel today I didn't exercise. Well, you didn't exercise for the last 4 months, right? And why are you thinking about it today? But what if he exercised every day, but he exercised regularly for the last 5 years? Then all of a sudden for 3 weeks, he doesn't exercise at all. He's going to say that to you. He's going to say, I haven't been able to exercise and I just feel different. I don't have the energy level, right? And that's going to be true. Okay, so what about a person who's that way, not about physical exercise, but spiritual exercise, godly exercise, learning Chassidus first thing in the morning? That's part of his day. It's just there. There's people who go out for jogs first thing in the morning, and there's people who are in Chassidus. They jog to godly reality every day. Okay, and if they don't do it, so then they're like there's something missing. They feel like there's something missing in that day. Oh, they're right. Something's missing in that day. Why? Because it sensitizes us to a whole different state of reality. And if I don't do it in a consistent way, so then I lose that sensitivity. That's now. What about in the Immerse Mashiach? So be the other way around. So the Rebbe made a joke, so to speak, when he was speaking in the Farbrengen, he said, so Immerse Mashiach, we'll have to learn physics before davening to remind ourselves that we can put the siddur on the table and it won't fall to the floor. Which is true, right? I mean, you're going to have to remind yourself that physical reality is there, and so you can take this and put it there, and nothing will happen. Like it'll be okay. Right? Why is that any different than you and I having to sensitize ourselves to Elokus? They're both here. And I would say, actually, the Elokus is here more than the physicality, because the physicality is only here because of the Elokus. It's not the other way around. Right? Elokus isn't here because of the physicality. I mean, on a certain extent it is, because, so to speak, the Elokus has come down to this place. Right? Okay, but this place is only here because of that Elokus. There wouldn't be a place to come to if it weren't for the fact that the Eibishter created it and keeps it in existence constantly every macrosecond. Okay? So it's all a matter of sensitivity. So how do I develop that sensitivity of Kosis Lamar, that I want something, I don't even know what it is. Well, Adarabba. So if I learn about it more and more and more, if Elokus becomes part of my conscious reality by learning about Elokus, the same way I'll learn about different aspects of physical reality. So I might be able to talk at great length about who knows what, some aspect of reality in Eilam Hazeh. Well, I went to visit the Poconos, and I can tell you all about the Poconos. Right? Okay. So what if I went to visit Ak? Well, I learned a mimer about Adam Kadmon. Okay, so I can talk about Adam Kadmon. So it becomes part of my conscious reality. Right? And then what? Then that's what's going to bother me if that's not around. Just like a person who is very sensitive to natural beauty because they hike a lot in nature. So when they're walking around Manhattan, they're going to... I like it. The buildings are interesting and the energy is something... I haven't seen a tree for the last 25 minutes. It's driving me crazy. Now, there is Central Park, right? There is, they got to give them credit, right? They did leave this unbelievably huge green space in the middle. Okay, which is, that's impressive, right?
It's also man-made.
What do you mean?
Central Park is man-made.
Yeah, well, meaning they left the space and then, then...
They turned it into a park.
Right.
Like it wasn't like a nature reserve.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's probably just a bunch of, who knows, whatever was there. Trees, creeks, whatever, I don't know, whatever was there. Right, no, 100%. But the idea of understanding that was an important thing is interesting, right? Like, well done. Kol hakavod. Right?
I think they got the idea from London, actually, from Hyde Park.
But Hyde Park is not as big.
Right, but I'm saying they got the idea to have just a green space in the middle of an urban area, just so that people could feel like there's still some nature.
Right. No, because it's so interesting how important that is to people.
Yeah.
Right? To just something green, something. Okay. So, but that comes with being, that comes with a certain sensitivity. Right? Okay, and that sensitivity has to be developed. So too sensitivity elokus has to be developed. But it's interesting. It doesn't have to be developed to the extent that I have to bring it about in myself. I have to reveal it in myself. It's already there. Mitzad etzem and neshama. The essence of the Yid, that's what the Rebbe said. The Ratzon Amiti of the Jew is elokus. He has to bring that into his conscious reality. He doesn't have to create that sensitivity. He has to reveal that sensitivity, which is completely different. So he's kosis. So therefore he asks 3 times a day that the Eibishter should show up. V'zeu kosis lamar. And that's pshat and kosis lamar. That's the second level. Shal yedea inim de kosis, by virtue of the crushedness mizeh, from the fact, shenim soim begolas, that we're found in Golas. Again, even though the Golas is good, the matzav in Golas is fine. There's no decrees against serving the Eibishter. Magim lamar, we reach the ma'or. We reach the luminary. We reach the essence of our soul. Why? Because that's where this desire comes from. The fact that the true desire of every single Jew who gilu elokus is the revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to such an extent that this affects his essential existence. It bothers him if Elokus isn't revealed. Therefore he's broken and crushed, kosis mizeh, from the fact that he doesn't have a gilu elokus. Where does that come from? If a Yid can find that in himself, what's he found? He's found etzem and neshama. He's found that place in him that's completely and essentially connected to the Eibishter, which is his true being. That's what he really is. There's other parts of us. There's this thing called the nefesh ba'amis, which is naturally connected to all sorts of interesting physical things. Right? He's found etzem and neshama, ma'or sheben neshama, the luminary of the soul. She's kashrusa belokus, that the connection of that level of his soul to elokus, he's kashrus atzmis. It's an essential connection. It's not something that has to be brought about. It's not a function of revealed reality. It's an essential connection. What's the mushal that we always use in order to? It's by definition, there's no proper mushal about etzem, but the closest we can come in Eilam Hazeh, that's the DNA of the Yid. That's who he really is. Your DNA is who you really are, and it doesn't change. Your DNA is your DNA. Your DNA says black hair, you can dye your hair blonde for 60 years, your DNA didn't change. Ki huzeh. The DNA of every single Yid is they're completely and totally connected to the Eibishter. They can act in a way that's completely contrary to that their whole life. That doesn't change their DNA. That changes their conscious reality, and their conscious reality is completely out of step with their essential reality, and that causes a lot of angst. That's why Yidden tend to be angst-filled. They don't tend to be particularly calm. Right? Always running around looking for something, trying to fix something because there's something wrong. Okay, there is something wrong, that's true, but what's wrong? What's wrong isn't whatever issue it is that any particular generation of Jews has decided that they're going to be on the front lines of fighting. What's wrong is that the Eibishter is not revealed in Eilam Hazeh, and if a Jew gets in contact with that and in touch with that in his soul, so then he starts acting in a different way and actually bringing about a real tikkun. The real tikkun is bringing Mashiach, and then all that stuff that isn't the way it's supposed to be will disappear. Okay, that's Ois Tess. Quite an amazing Ois. Something to remember, something to live by, something to bring with. Okay, Yud, let's see what happens next. Because we're still trying to understand Pshat in the Psukim, in the Pasuk. But all of this was the introduction to help us understand Pshat in the Pasuk. We understood Pshat in the Maimer, the Rebbe's Maimer of the connection between Veata tetzave and Raya Mehemna and Kosis Lamaor and Purim. We got that. Okay, that all made sense in the Friedrich Rebbe's Maimer. The Rebbe put that all into a nice order. And it was really all the same thing. It's all that's okay. Now the Rebbe has to deal with that appendage. It's not an appendage, it's right in the middle. of the pasuk Vayikra Elecha Hashem and Zayazak. Why is that in between Veata tetzave, which is you connect the Jewish people to the Eibishter, which means you connect the Jewish people to the essence of their soul. Kasis Lamar, that the situation in Gullus connects the Jew to the essence of his soul, both one and the same. And in the middle is Vayikra Elecha Hashem and Zayazak. What's it doing there? They should bring to you olive oil, which we said that we bring about a teisofis or in Moshe, that we elevate Moshe. So to speak, Moshe is the Rosh, and we're the Regel. So the Rosh reaches 5'10" because of the feet, because of the legs, also the trunk. Okay. Vayesh Lemer. Moshe was taller than that. Moshe was very tall. Vayesh Lemer. Shebechinas Ma'or, the neshama Paro was very small. Paro was like a little dwarf. Squeaky voice. V'yesh lemer shebechinas ma'or the neshama, that this level of the essence of the soul, the luminary of the soul, hamizgalis, that's revealed al yedein in the kosis, mizesh and imsayin begolis. What's the most powerful revelation of that? By virtue of the fact that the Jew comes to a point where they're bothered by the essential existence of Golis and not simply their situation in Golis. This is a higher level, than the level of Ma'or, the Neshama, than the level of the essence of the soul, the luminary of the soul, Shemizgalis, that is revealed al Yidei Mesiris Nefesh. The Mesiris Nefesh. And the Rebbe is now talking about two different levels of Ma'or. Right? Now, that we've sort of assumed that that's going to be because of what the Rebbe has just been saying lately, but okay, there's two different levels of Ma'or. There's the level of Ma'or, there's the revelation of Etzem and Neshama that produces Mesiris Nefesh in times of trouble. Right? And we see that now. We're living in a time where there's a tremendous arousal of Jewish identity because of crushedness, because of an event that was so beyond anybody's ability to connect to and relate to that it's just like, whoa, where's this coming from? And it became so obvious. Right? So it was just interesting in terms of the word tzava, Sivas Hashem. We're called Sivas Hashem, the Jews. So that word tzava has three different meanings. One of the meanings is tzava, army, which means Mesiris Nefesh. Right? What do you Mesiris Nefesh for? The Rebbe explains this actually in Basi Lagani. The Frierdiker Rebbe talks about it in Basi Lagani, so it's in Basi Lagani, my Marim of the Rebbe. What produces the Mesiris Nefesh? The appreciation of the fact that my essential existence is at stake. So it's just very interesting. I was listening to a shir yesterday of Rav Asher Farkas, who's Argentina. It was just amazing. Shirman Chassidus. It's absolutely incredible. So grew up here in Yerushalayim. Rav Farkas here in Yerushalayim is one of the main Lubavitch Rabbanim here in Yerushalayim. So he's one of his sons. So he happened to be a shir that he's giving now. He was discussing this year's Basi Lagani, Tafshin Chav Dalet. But he was talking about the Indian of tzava and Sivas Hashem, because earlier on in the Maimer, the Rebbe discusses three different pshatim in Sivas Hashem. So he said something so interesting. He said, what woke everybody up? What changed? What became absolutely clear to everybody, especially in this country? And there was always this word in this country called hakoncepsia, the conception, which only a certain part of the country had, but they're the people who run the place. And they had a conception that this sichsuk, this disagreement that happens in this part of the world is about land. It has nothing to do with land. It has to do with essential existence. They don't want us to exist. And therefore, what does that awaken in the Jew? A clarity regarding the need to do anything necessary to maintain existence. Right? It's called in the Maimer, it's called Bizbus HaEtzers. The king will empty out the treasure house to win the war. Now, there's different reasons why you might go to war. And one of the reasons, so interesting, it's talked about this in Basi Lagani, talks about this at great length. The Frierdiker Rebbe's Basi Lagani and the Rebbe's Basi Laganis that are explaining those parts of the Frierdiker Rebbe's Basi Lagani. One of the reasons to go to war is to conquer land. You want to conquer land? Okay, so a king goes to war. So he doesn't empty the Eitzers for that. He doesn't empty out his treasure house for that. Why? Because, okay, if he doesn't win, so he has less land. He still has his land. No, then there's a war that's all about nitzachon, victory. What's the victory? You have to completely annihilate you have to do away with the existence of the enemy. And for that, the king will be mavazvei's eitzers. He'll take out everything he's got. Well, that's what's, that's the easiest thing in the world to understand now, because we have a mashal balur in Gashmis. What's the idea of this particular situation? Nitzachon, victory. There isn't anything else. And finally, people woke up to the fact that this isn't an issue about land. There's nothing to do with land. There was this idea, we'll give them a little land and they'll be happy. No. And then, of course, half the country was screaming that forever. But okay, that's a separate issue. It's not our issue. That's already the political pun of it. Right? Just the reality of it all. It's nothing to do with land. It's to do with essential existence. Oh, so that's a whole new battle. That touches the core of the person, what they're really all about. Oh, so it's Kosis Lamar. So there's Mesiris Nefesh to fight, to keep Torah and mitzvahs in the most difficult situations, and that's the time of the Gezerah. That's Mesiris Nefesh. And where's that coming from? Etzem in the Shama. But then there's a deeper expression of Etzem in the Shama. The Rebbe is going to explains it in such an amazing way. Vaininu, to me, a timing malzeh. One of the reasons Matan Torah the Matan Torah was only the beginning. We're back to that idea again. Heichalu lasos. We began to accept the Torah at Har Sinai. Ubimei Achashverosh, and in the days of Achashverosh, Haisa Kabbalah. That was the actual Kabbalah, the Kibul Yehudim, right? Kibul Yehudim is Chalu lasos, the pasuk in Megillah, that the Jews accepted that which they had begun to do. How can you accept something you began to do if you didn't accept it? So you're not doing it. No. The beginning of the acceptance was at the time of Matan Torah, and the completion of that acceptance was at the time of Purim. Who? One of the reasons. Now we're going back to Matan Torah. That which the Mesiris Nefesh of Matan Torah, and it was only Mesiris Nefesh B'koyach, it was potential Mesiris Nefesh. Meaning we said we're giving up our lives for Torah. Now we weren't forced to give up our lives. It was conceptually we're ready to give up our lives for Torah. And how was that expressed at the time of Matan Torah? Nasa v'nishma. We'll do and we'll hear. Meaning whatever's in there we're going to do. Doesn't matter. We don't have to hear it first. And then we'll hear it. Then we'll understand it. Well, but our understanding is important. And obviously we have to understand in order to do a good job at it. But whatever's there, we're going to do. Nasa v'nishma. We didn't say nishma. Let's see what it is v'nasa and then we'll do it. Right? The famous medrash that the Eibusher went around to all the nations of the world and asked them, do you want to accept the Torah? This is the same medrash. Right? You want to accept the Torah? And they all asked, what's in it? Okay, so interesting enough, what did the Eibusher tell each particular group of people? The thing that would be hardest for them. Right? Manyan. Right? There's a modern version of it. Right? There's an old Yiddish, it's old, it's not old, it's relatively new, a Yiddish song that about the Eibusher going around to the different nations of the world now, right? So he goes around, he goes to the French, so he talks about adultery. No, we can't do that. No, we can't. Okay, no, that's not for us.
Kosher food.
Right. Then he goes to the Germans. Don't kill. No, we can't do that. Goes to the Russians. There's a one God. No. Goes to the Arabs, don't steal. No, we can't do that. Goes to the Americans, honor your parents. No, we can't do that. We have our Mother's Day and Father's Day is in the song, right? We have our Mother's Day and Father's Day, that's enough. But since it's a culture that doesn't honor parents, they're the ones who made up this thing called Mother's Day and Father's Day, right?
They're the ones who felt the need to make it up.
Exactly, because they don't do it the other days. My mother was adamant that we do not. There is no such thing called Mother's Day, and her statement wasn't. It's true. Every day is Mother's Day, and don't you dare make a special day that you're going to send me flowers if you don't. I'm not interested in your flowers either.
My mom said exactly the same
Right,
thing.
that's a real mother, right? She hated it. So. It's so interesting in the Medrash. So the Eibishter went to every nation and told them what would be the hardest for them to do. If you want to accept them, tell them the good stuff, the easy stuff. No. Because if you really accept it, what does that mean? That means the stuff that's difficult for you that you're going to do this. That'll be easy. So anybody's going to do that. That's a cinch. It's the definition of a nice person, right? Who's a nice person? A nice person is a nice person even when they're having a bad day. Everybody's a nice person when they're having a good day. Genghis Khan is the life of the party when he's in a good mood, right? He's just such a nice guy. Take a village. Oh. Right? He's such a sweetie. He's just the guy you want to sit next to. If he's having a bad day, he might cut off your head just because he feels like it. Right? So people who are not friendly and not nice and not caring when they're in a bad mood, so they're not nice, right? I mean, that doesn't mean they're terrible and they should be thrown off a bridge, but they're not nice people. Because if you're a nice person, so even if you're having a bad day, so you find time and the energy to treat people properly and be respectful, etc., because that's what nice people do. It has nothing to do with your mood. It has to do with the fact that this is the proper way to act. I say to you, you're having a bad day. Okay, everybody has bad days. That's the way it goes. Right? You're having a great day. Good. So all of a sudden you're Mr. Friendly. No. Hopefully it should be the same all the time. I mean, when you're having a good day, it's going to be more noticeable probably, but okay. Oh, sheken, oh, shalom. So, your relationship with the Eibishter, when do you see it's real? The hard stuff. The easy stuff is easy. It's the hard stuff. Do I have a relationship or don't I? Same with your wife, same with your children. It's going to be the same with everything. Right? Oh, so Matan Torah. So what happened Matan Torah? So Matan Torah, so to speak, the Eibishter made it easy. How did he make it easy? Ki zeh she'ikdimu na'aseh l'nishma. The fact that we preceded Na'aseh l'nishma b'Matan Torah. Why? Because of the famous Medrash. Because the Eibishter held the mountain on top of us like a gigis. A gigis is like a bucket. He held the mountain on top of us. And what does the Medrash say? The Rebbe doesn't quote the whole Medrash. What does the Medrash say? Gemara and Shabbos. If you accept the Torah, good. And if not, I'm going to drop the mountain on you and squish you like ants.
But it's your choice.
But it's your choice. Oh, exactly. That's the right. Okay, so now what is that in Paninius? What does that really mean? When he held the mountain above our head, we were not under the mountain. We know that. There's a whole story in Chumash. Where were we? We were next to the mountain. We weren't under it, right? We were told not to go next to the mountain, right? So he couldn't pick it up. We weren't. If he picked up the mountain, so to speak, what's under there? Dirt. We're not there. Okay, makes the mountain bigger. The Eibishter can do whatever he wants, obviously, right? But simple pshat obviously doesn't mean he picked up the mountain. What does it mean? So it's exactly what I already said. Make a choice, right? The revelation was so powerful that it was impossible to say no. How can you possibly say no to the Eibishter if he's right here and he's hitting you in your forehead going, hello, I'm here. Says, no, it's not you. What do you mean it's not you? It's me. Here I am. That's Matan Torah. That's what the Rebbe says. That's Kaf Aleim Harki Gigis. Gilui Milamayla. It's an incredibly powerful revelation from above. You'll be Mei Achashverosh, in the days of Achashverosh. Haisa Kabbalah Mitzad Atzma. Why did they accept the Torah? Because they found in themselves the koyach to accept the Torah. Meaning the acceptance of the Torah is mitzad us, not mitzad the Torah. Not mitzad the Eibishter bringing us to a place where how can you not accept the Torah? There's this unbelievable revelation, so how can you not see this? Okay. Put in slightly more, everyday terms, but I think most people who have any sensitivity to Elokus can relate to it, is that, being sensitive to the Eibishter on Yom Kippur and caring a little bit about your davening and paying attention is no big deal. It's Yom Kippur, you can't get it together on Yom Kippur to have any sensitivity, godliness, so wow, that's heavy. Right? Someone who isn't sensitive to the Eibush on Yom Kippur, the next day he's going to say, "Whoa, I really have to do tshuva. Like I'm not in a good place." If a person has exactly that same feeling on a regular Tuesday, it's a regular Tuesday, it's okay. Say the Mazeh, Helen, Master, concealment, Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a day of unbelievable revelation. So wherever we're holding on Yom Kippur has nothing to do with who we really are, right? Obviously it has something to do with it, because the more we're connected in a regular time, then obviously the more powerful the connection will be on Yom Kippur. But I'm not connected that way during a regular day. It's Yom Kippur. It's a special day. It's a day that just arouses in the Jew an appreciation of their essential connection to the Eibishter. And it comes after a whole period of Rosh Hashanah and the Sersei Tshuva. So Yom Kippur. And interesting enough, Chazal, meaning it's not something new, this is something that's been around forever. Chazal describe a Jew who's lost all connection to Judaism as someone who doesn't fast on Yom Kippur. 1,800 years ago, that's how Chazal defined a Yid. How would you define a Yid today? Anybody, right? An affiliated Jew. Pretty similar description, right? Someone who doesn't fast on Yom Kippur, doesn't go to shul on Yom Kippur, so they're unaffiliated. That's what they're called. They're called unaffiliated. Someone who's affiliated, if they don't finish the fast, at least they'll start the fast. They'll somehow. Okay. Because Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur, and Yom Kippur is that which touches everybody. It's not like it's a lot of fun. It's interesting, you think of, you want to find a day. If you had to pick a day in the year that everybody should celebrate, which one would it be? Purim. Why doesn't everybody celebrate Purim? It's the best day, a lot of fun. No. It's always funny in our summer programs, because our summer programs always are around the three weeks. So, the guy comes and then 3 days later, says, okay, we don't eat today. Oh, this is a fun religion. Okay, then like a few weeks later, okay, don't bathe and then don't eat meat, and we're going to have a serious fast. This is a lot of fun. This is really fun. I like this. This is great. I'm in for the long haul. Just happens to be in the summer. What are you going to do? It's the way it is. So there was a Gilui Milamayla, but Purim. So now the Rebbe says an amazing thing. We have 2 minutes. I'm going to stop on time, and then we'll see more of it tomorrow. So the Rebbe says, these two levels of our connection to Torah are very similar to two things that we've already seen in the Mimer. The two sources of Emunah. What was the first source of Emunah? Mazli Chazi. We see Elokus. When did we see Elokus? Matan Torah. That's Mazli Chazi. Right? And then there's a deeper level. Etzem and Neshama, the essence of the soul, the essential connection. When was that revealed? Oh, that's Purim. It's like an unbelievable explanation of the difference between those two levels. And that's why Matan Torah was limited. And interesting enough, there was quite a disaster right after. Didn't last very long. Okay, Beseder, that was clearly orchestrated, etc., etc. The Chet Eitzadas and Chet Egel are very similar. After the Eibishter creates, so to speak, a perfect world, and then humans destroy it. Right? That's Gan Eden. Well, the same thing with Matan Torah. The Eibishter brought the world to a state of creation. Paskazu Masam, Tuma left the world temporarily, and then people destroyed it. Why? Well, because the idea is not that the Eibishter creates it, that we create it. Okay, so we're going to destroy it, but then ultimately we're also given the tools to fix it. It happened at both points in the beginning of the world's history. Yom HaShishi, right? What did Rashi say? Why does it say Yom HaShishi? Because the Matan Torah is the 6th day, or the day of Hay, the day of the Chamisha Chumshei Torah, that is also a certain beginning of the world. And at the beginning of the process, the Eibishter orchestrates a destruction so that we can fix it. But let's just see quickly another line or two, and then we'll stop. V'yesh lemer, the Rebbe says, she'amunah di Yisrael, the amunah of the Jewish people, mitzad zeh, she'neshama l'mayla roya elokus, that the neshama above sees elokus, mazli chazi, amunah shemitzad siba, this is the amunah that comes as a result of a reason, which we saw earlier in the Mimer. Hu al derech shigdimu nasa l'nishma b'matan Torah. That's like nasa v'nishma b'matan Torah. Why do we say that? Mitzad agilui di l'mayla. That was all a function of the revelation from above. Unbelievable revelation. It was such a powerful revelation. I mean, it became even more powerful at the actual giving of the Torah, and our souls left our bodies, and we couldn't take it, etc. But even before, this unbelievable revelation. So before Matan Torah, on Hey Sivan, the Jews say, Nasav and Ishma, we're in. Oh. But in the days of Achashverosh, there's a period in line down. In the days of Achashverosh, it came from themselves. So what's that? Then what was revealed? Their connection to the Eibishter, from inside the essence of their soul, the second higher level of the source of Emunah. He's kashrus atzmis, the essential connection, and that comes from the essence of their being. That's the second level. Now I was going to explain all that. Okay. So tomorrow we'll have shir. I assume Sunday you guys are